Hey there, welcome to the Focus Podcast with teary. This is the place where we talk about real life, real relationships, and how to grow through it all. If you're looking for simple mindset shifts, better communication, and deeper connections, you're in the right spot. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Focus Podcast. I am Teary, your host, and I have a guest here today. This is my son, Tyler. He is my youngest child, and he is almost 19 years old.
Yes.
And
Yep.
Tyler, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be on.
Okay, this is going to be really fun because he's my first guest, and
That means I'm the coolest, right?
you are the coolest, definitely. He's my only son, too. He's my favorite son and my only son, and he's the first one that volunteered to be my first guest. So my daughters both said that they would, too. So we're going to have them on sometime here soon, too. So they can tell you what kind of parent I was and am, and I don't know, this might be a little scary, so we'll see. But I kind of wanted to bring my kids on to kind of, I feel like sometimes my podcast so far has been a little bit heavy or, I don't know, formal, and that's not really who I am either. So I could get pretty passionate about some of the things that I talk about, but I think I'm more of a casual kind of person. So I wanted to do this series with my kids, and I wanted to kind of get their version of growing up and stuff. So there may be some scary things that come out that I may have to edit a whole lot. No, I'm just kidding. But Tyler he graduated from high school last year. So do you want to tell us like what you're doing now?
Well, I graduated from high school 2024, and then I lived in Winter Park, Colorado with one of my friends for the summer and worked up there, and that was kind of my first experience like away from home. And then I moved back here after that summer was finished to South Carolina, and been here ever since. Work at a golf course doing turf maintenance. So
Yeah, he's and getting free golf all the time. He just got back last night from a week with his buddies in Colorado on, I don't know, how many holes of golf did you guys play? A lot.
I mean,
tons.
18, 27, whatever that is.
Yeah, 18 plus 18 plus 18 plus 27. A lot of holes of golf. And he plays golf. He's been golfing since he was 4 years old. So he loves golf. And
wish I could say I had the scores to prove that, but we're not there yet, but maybe.
Yeah, well, you're better than your dad. At least that's what he tells me. He likes to golf with his dad a lot, too. And his dad said that he's better than him. So that's all that matters, right?
I mean, he's the one that taught me. So.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Well, I think there's a few things that I kind of want to just talk to you about and just kind of get your perspective on some things. But, I think wanted to give parents an insight from a teen turning around into adulthood here. So I have a list of questions here that I'm going to pull up here on my computer. So this might be a lot for you, but we'll see. Okay. What is something that you wish parents of teenagers really understood?
I think a lot of the times I see parents that they sometimes forget where they used to be. And I mean, vice versa. Kids forget that their parents used to be teenagers and used to be exactly like they are. And I think parents are also guilty of the same thing. Sometimes parents can forget that they used to be a teen and how it was when they were a teen. And yes, it's very different like you were a teen in the 90s. And so it's very different from what it is now. But I think the general basis of how you would have wanted if your parents said something I think it's very different of how how it is how
generations.
Yeah, generations. But
yeah, it's
the same in the fact of how we are built as humans and how our brains work. That doesn't really change much.
I think it does, because I honestly think teens today are way smarter than I ever was, honestly.
Some, but some definitely.
True. True. But I think teens are facing so much more than we as parents ever had to in the 90s, just with technology and phones and social media and things. Like, I can't even imagine having social media as proof of what some of the things that I did as a teenager. But
I do think fundamentally it's
and biologically our brains, the brain chemistry and all that stuff too. But definitely.
But that's also something that kids need to know, is that they will be parents at some point too. So,
that's true. Well, and I think out of all my kids, you are a lot like me. Tyler is very outgoing. I think I'm a little bit more reserved as an adult now. I think I'm a little more quiet, but I've always been much more extroverted. And he is definitely extroverted. His dad and his sisters are a little more introverted, and he's the most like me in the fact that he just is definitely a lot more like, this kid had never met a stranger in his life. And I think I was kind of like that too. But you've always just been able to like talk with adults and stuff, even as a 9-year-old, So I think that's definitely been something for you. But let me ask you another question. Let's see. What do you think helps a teen feel safe opening up to a parent?
Well, it depends on what like they're opening up about, but say they're opening up about something they did or something that's happened that I'll use like a very harsh but like broad one, like if you got someone pregnant, let's say. Opening up to that about a parent, and it could be, less than that, not getting someone pregnant.
Car accident.
Yeah. Hitting someone's car or something like that.
That's never happened. Well, I hope you haven't gotten someone pregnant, but...
Not yet. No.
Wait a minute. We might have to pause this and take a...
No, but I think
He has been an offender bender, so...
Fender bender. Yeah. But I think they get, like, worried about getting grounded. And, yes, consequences do come, but I think having someone that, like, can listen and, like, not just go straight away to, oh, you're grounded, oh, you're... Like, just go straight to punishing, not even listen, not even, like, listen to what happened. And that goes back to where we were before, where parents forget that they were once teens, too. They once made this... it's not the same, but that way they once made the decisions that, oh, I got drunk last night and got stuck at my friend's house. A lot of parents would be, you got drunk, you like that, and also not look at the things like, oh, good on you for not driving home or something like that,
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the times kids worry about their parents not, like, there can also be punishment, but I think there also needs to be parents where they listen and understand where their kids are coming from, and that they were in that same position before as teenagers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Or not. Sometimes, that example you used, that wasn't something that I would understand, but that you thankfully have never had that either. So let me just make that clear.
Yeah.
This kid hasn't had that issue. But, I think sometimes we forget that, sometimes that these kids are human too, right?
Yeah.
What was the hardest part of the teen years for you?
I think I had a good bit in middle school, but that was, I think, before teen, because I think middle school just, no one likes middle school. But I think that transition from, because I was in 8th grade when COVID happened, and going from, that's already an awkward transition to go from being in 8th grade or being in middle school and then going to high school, which is like completely different. It's not like, not even very close to the same thing at all. And so going from being 3/4 of the way through my 8th grade year and then having COVID hit and shut down everything, and then my first class in high school was over Zoom,
especially for a social kid
camera.
Like you.
Yeah.
You're a social kid.
Yeah, so I think that, like, I would hear that, oh, we're doing video, and that wasn't really, like, that didn't mean much to me. And so I would a lot of the time just, like, turn my thing on, but have my camera off and do something else or scroll on my phone, whatever,
Yeah.
and not really pay attention. And I think that was hard because I also missed out on like a good bit of like learning because we still like learn
Yeah.
stuff, but
Your teachers
Yeah.
were still learning how to teach
I was
through
gonna
that
say,
too.
yeah.
So,
And now that I'm older and I've been in the situations of, leading Zoom meetings or whatever, I feel bad that I was one of those that just was camera off and not saying anything. Definitely made it probably harder for teachers, but
everybody was learning
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
That goes back to, we got to remember that we're all just doing our best, right?
Yeah, that was not fun
no.
for sure.
What has helped you trust me or not trust me as a parent?
I don't think I've ever had like an issue with trust. I wouldn't say with you. Like, I mean, you've never given me a reason to not trust you. I know there's a lot of parents that they'll do something with their, like, if a kid had a parent who cheated on their, like, mom or a dad that cheated on, like, I think that would probably make a parent not trust as much. But you've really never given me a reason to trust you.
Me.
So I wouldn't say there's.
Okay. Is there anything that I did that made you trust me?
I think, I mean, you listen, and you have always been, like, if you say you're going to do something, you've never not done it. Like yesterday, you said, I asked if you'd pick me up at the airport. You said you did, and you did. It's
of course.
So, yeah, it's not like, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just follow through.
Yeah, you've never, like, again, you've never given me a reason not to trust you, so maybe it's because you're my mom. I've known you since birth, and so I just automatically, as humans, we trust our parents, and so
unless they give
until they give you a reason to not trust you.
Yeah. What advice would you give to parents who feel like maybe their teen is pushing them away?
I think find like try to find the reason that your kid is like shutting down or pushing away. And I think a big thing is if your kid is pushing away and they're in that stage of being a teen where they're going through like puberty and that kind of thing, they're just in that like kind of awkward kind of stage.
Figuring it out themselves.
So they're like, oh, talking to my mom isn't cool or whatever. I don't know. I think finding things to do with your kids and like something that they would enjoy and that you would enjoy, like
golfing.
Golfing, like playing, like, I mean, I like to play pickleball, like playing pickleball or just something like that, something you can do with your kid.
Hint. He just asked me last night, will you go play pickleball with me? And so
she said she would.
I would. I said I would.
Yeah. But
it's getting hot here in South Carolina.
It is hot, so
we're going to have to go. Luckily, you get up early for work, but maybe you'll get up early and go when it's cooler a little bit outside.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like finding something that you can do with your kid to where it's not like, like, I mean, if you just go into your room or into your kid's room and sit down and then just try to talk to them or try to talk to them while they're doing something, or that makes it easier for them to kind of just push away or not really. So just make it casual. Make it like, hey, you want to go get lunch? Or, hey, when you're at school, how about I pick you up for lunch one day and we go out and have lunch?
Yeah.
Instead of, going into the room while they're, like, say if a kid is playing video games, going in, you are being in that proactive stage and you're talking to your kid, but when they're doing something else or if they have their mind on something else,
they're trying to wind down or something, and you want a big conversation.
Yeah, it can be hard, and that can make it even easier but they're not pushing you away because they don't like you or whatever, so
just kind of needs to do it on their time then, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. That's good advice.
Yeah.
How would you define independence? Because you're getting...
If you asked me when I was 15, 16 years old, I'd say getting that driver's license. I think that is probably the biggest stage that teens, like, that's where you go from being a teen to kind of more of a young adult kind of, and I think that's it is a responsibility, but I think that gives a kid a lot of independence. But I think right now, independence, I would say, is kind of like my free time. Whenever I have my free time, because when I go to work, I wouldn't say I'm really like independent because I have, you know, a boss telling me things to do and stuff. But so I think when I go in my room or something and have my free time, that's kind of when I feel most independent, and that's what I would define as it at the moment. But I'm sure that'll change as I get older, or what.
Yeah, I think you're pretty independent now because you work full time, and we kind of did a thing to him his senior year. The last month of his senior year, we moved from Colorado to South Carolina. So the last few weeks of his senior year, he stayed with his best friend's family. Thank heavens they were open to that. We're grateful to them every day for that. Yeah. But we kind of upheaved his whole life a little bit, and so you're kind of trying to get your groundings a bit, and he wants to go to, well, your senior year he took a year of college classes and high school classes in aviation. So he's been looking at, we've been able to go to some colleges down here, and you want to be a pilot. Yeah. So you're just kind of saving some money right now to get that up and going. But so you're here with us right now, and as long as I can hang on to you, but working full time and then some. Yeah. So to save a little bit of money for that. Okay, let me ask you another one here. What's something I did as your mom that made a difference?
I think just like you were always open to listening. That's one big thing, is like you said, when you feel safe about opening up to a parent, I never felt unsafe opening up to you, and like I think that just makes all the difference in the world. Is I knew if I did something, like when I got in that fender bender, I was pissed at myself and that kind of stuff, but the thing that I did not like, that I wasn't worried about, was calling you and saying, "Hey mom, I got in a fender bender." And I didn't feel worried about that, even though, I mean, it was your car. I mean, luckily there wasn't any damage to my car, but I never felt, I mean, I did have consequences for that. I mean,
you had to pay for it.
Yeah, I had to pay for it. I mean, but it was,
you knew it wasn't
something that and even if you did get mad, I mean, I think one thing is, at the moment, when you're, let's just say it's something like a fender bender. If it's like your teenager calls you, "Hey mom, hey dad, I got in a fender bender," I think if you freak out in that moment, that's going to make your kid just kind of pull away, and maybe next time they get in a fender bender, they're not going to call you. They'll just say, "Hey, sorry, just can we just not collect insurance?" Like, and it'll make them, because you should always collect insurance or exchange insurances and that kind of thing. And so I think when you don't freak out and kind of just understand that your kid, like, they didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like,
it's an accident.
Just kind of understand and tying it all back. Understand, if you were a teenager, how would you want your parents to react? You know,
feel safe enough to come to your mom,
call
your mom. Yeah. I think that, do you think that, this is what, when you were just talking about that, it made me think, do you think that that's maybe why sometimes kids hide things from their parents? Is that afraid of their reaction?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think a lot of times whenever kids hide something, like maybe it might be like if a kid vapes or something like that, and they'll hide it from their parents because they know their parent wouldn't allow that or wouldn't like that. But I think so sometimes it could be something like that, but I think something like what you said with, like, let's say a car accident or something like that, I think a lot of the times kids do hide things because they feel they're scared about how their parent would react or whatever.
Or disappointing their parent or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What are you most excited or nervous about becoming an adult?
Well, I kind of had a little taste of it when I moved out, and then when I moved out and I lived with my friend's family, that was a little less of nerve-wracking experience because they were kind of like my mom and dad and at that point. But then when me and my friend moved up to Winter Park in Colorado
For the summer.
and we were by ourselves. I think we had a little bit of an experience moving up there. We had his car going up the mountains, going up the pass. His car, his serpentine belt snapped.
Ooh.
And so we had to pull over. We had all of our cars packed completely full with our stuff. And so we had to try to shove what we needed for that night into my car. And then he had to get his car towed back down to the mountains to Denver. And that was a whole thing of getting that fixed. But we needed stuff for work that we were starting in a couple days. And so it was an experience in that. And I think that was kind of where...
A taste of adulthood
yeah,
there.
and I didn't have hardly really anyone to lean on for that. But luckily he had his parents still lived in Denver. And so his mom was able to call a tow truck and stuff. And
Help you.
But I think when we moved up there... like going to the store, I was a broke high school kid, and so going to the store and going to cook something, and I'm like, I don't have pepper, I don't have salt.
Oh yeah.
I have to go buy these things. And so I think buying
Yes.
salt and pepper for the first time, that was kind of where I was like,
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
remember his older sister, the first time she had to buy Q-tips for her makeup or ears or whatever, the first time she called me, I had to buy my own Q-tips.
Yeah.
Those are just provided at home.
Yeah.
And that was so hard for her to spend her hard-earned money on that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are things like you take advantage of, and you don't really understand.
Yeah.
That you don't get a grasp for appreciating those things. And so I remember I would come home to visit
Yeah.
out here, and I'd come home and like, look at this fridge full of food. Like I have some eggs and some Eggos at my
Yeah. You're like, Mom, will
place,
you
but-
make me this meal
Yeah.
when I'm home for a
exactly.
minute?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
I think the cooking part is probably what I'm most nervous about, because I'm not a very good cook. So I think for the first
wait
little
a minute,
bit when
you
I
are too. This guy make that chicken fried rice or whatever that.
yeah.
And steak, you can grill a steak like.
I think TikTok is like
Yeah.
the great. If you're looking to get your kids experience with cooking, tell them look up a TikTok recipe and find something you like, and we'll get that. We'll cook
That'll
that. You
help
can
you.
learn how to cook that. I think.
Yep. I remember being on the phone with you though, like walking you through making biscuits and gravy one time. You were like, Mom, I miss biscuits and
Oh,
gravy.
yeah.
How do I make that? And
She
walking
makes
that.
the best biscuits and gravy
Thank
I've
you.
ever had in my life. No matter the restaurant,
That's how I'm going to
whoever,
keep him coming
but-
home is biscuits and gravy for
Yes.
sure.
Yep.
So
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely so. Teach your kids some of these things before they're ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could go back and tell your 13-year-old self something, what would you say to that kid?
I think I would say, like we were talking about in the beginning, or in the last thing we talked about, was be grateful for the things you have, the small things you have. Take advantage of it. Be grateful for it, because it doesn't last forever. I know like school can be a drag, but I would say like love those, like you get to see your friends every day, and so I mean, and so yeah, some of those things are like I moved across the country for my friends, so that's been tough. I mean, it's like good that I can go back and visit and stuff, but so yeah, I think once you graduate high school, I think you realize everyone kind of goes in their separate ways, and to keeping those friendships kind of can definitely be a little bit more of a challenge after that. So yeah,
I didn't write this one down or whatever, but it made me think, like, what have you found? And maybe we need a whole other episode on this, but
yeah.
So maybe for next time, I want to talk to you a little bit about like, because I understand it's like hard now that everybody is like spread, because like when you're a teenager, you have friends from your choir, you made friends, and from football, you had friends from that, or from this or that, or your class, you made these friends. You had built-in friends due to these different circumstances. But sometimes when you get to be an adult now, I know a lot of the guys you work with, they're in totally different stages of life. You have 70-year-old men, and you have 28-year-old dads, and you have somebody that's still in high school. They're all in different stages of life, and so it's a little bit harder to make friends. So maybe in an upcoming episode we'll talk to him, and maybe I'll grab your sisters or something too and talk about like that stage of life, because that can be a little bit hard, I think. So
I think everyone kind of because when you're in high school, you have these you work high school jobs like at fast food places, and a lot of those people are
with other high schoolers.
Now I work with people that are 70 years old, and people that are 30 years old, and people that are my same age. So you definitely get a grasp for like right now I'm there saving money, and the paycheck I get, I might buy a golf club or something like that, and then the guy that is working next to me is
you're saving for pilot school too,
but the guy next to me has a kid and a wife at home that he's
buying diapers.
Buying diapers for, and so I think once you graduate, you kind of get experience with that. So one thing I would say was for like teens is try to get a job that like you can get that experience, that you're not just working with like kids your own age, and if you do have a job that you do work with kids your own age, but you also work with people that are older, don't just like bring yourself to like have a little clique with the kids that are your age. I mean, talk to the people that are older than you. I mean,
branch out.
Yeah, they have like some of the best people I've worked with are people that are much older than me, and
well, that goes back to you always. You're an extrovert, and you've always been able to just talk with anyone and everyone, and stuff. So
you get that from doing it, That's why I would encourage people to do that. So yeah.
Well, has there been anything in this conversation that surprised you, or that maybe I think for me, just hearing you talk about he didn't say these exact words, but he missed his mom that summer away.
I did.
That's what I heard. I think that's what I heard. But
maybe I didn't want to admit that at the time, being a fresh graduate out of high school, but I will admit now, yes, I did.
So that surprised me.
Did miss mom, parents, dog. I mean, I lived with my dog since, what did we get him in? When I was in third grade or something like that?
I think so.
Third grade, and so I never really was away from home enough to where like I would really miss him, but I think after being away, like,
but he missed his mom. He missed his mom.
Yes. Yep.
So that's I think sometimes trying to see things more clearly, what's going on beneath the surface of some of those things. He missed. I thought he was calling about my food, but I think he missed his mom.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. That was a fun little conversation here with Tyler. So we're going to have him back on another time, because I had a whole other slew of thoughts that came up at things I want to talk to him about, because this kid has a lot of knowledge on things. So if you have any questions that you want to ask him or want us to chat about, send us a DM or put it in the comments of the show notes or whatever. But we're grateful that you came. Like and subscribe, because we're going to have more like this. I think this is a lot more fun than me just talking at the screen, because that is not fun. I'm not good at that, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Yeah. So thanks for being with us. We'll talk soon. Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Focus Podcast. If something stood out or helped you in some way, feel free to share it or leave a quick review. It means a lot. Keep showing up, keep growing, and I'll catch you in the next episode.